first met Graham, I thought that he was a gentleman that needed quite intense therapy from lots of different disciplines, which would include speech and language therapy, neuropsychology. He also had quite high nursing needs in terms of he was at high risk of having epileptic seizures, and that needed very close monitoring and observations. His wife was also very upset and really wanted Graham to go straight home from hospital, which I felt professionally at that time was totally inappropriate, because there was still scope from the assessment process to ensure that he met his full potential. Very quickly, when we started to work with Graham, built up his confidence, it became really obvious that this gentleman had got huge potential. And to this day, Maureen and Graham come and visit every week.
In rehabilitation, there are several factors that I think are important. One is that if you can get the compliance and cooperation of the patient, and clearly Graham was a very pleasant individual that's helped the compliance and cooperation, it's useful to have the family supporting the process, which his family were very involved and very positive and constructive with this process. And the third thing is having a good team. The first challenge with like a lot of people in Graham's situation is to try and make them aware of what's happened to them, so they can understand what's happened, they can accept they need help and support. And as soon as they accept that, they can actually do more valuable work. As part of the rehabilitation progress, we're very keen to give them what we call calculated risks. So we'd like to try and engage them back in the community in a very limited way initially, that they're supported when they go out, progressing on to hopefully day leaves with the family, with the view that you're looking for longer leaves with the family to show that they are improving and they're getting their life back to a more normal level. I think we're very successful at Graham's rehabilitation from the fact that when he first came in, he needed 24-hour care and support, and when he left, he needed very limited support from his family. I think we're very privileged to come into people's life, particularly when they're in a distressed state, and it's fantastic to see them leave and go back to a relatively normal life again.
The first thing we did is sit down with him and have a chat with him and get a feel for what his language is like. So how does he manage in conversation? Can he name specific words? Can he tell us his name, where he lives? All those information details that are quite normal and automatic to him. That informs us which direction we go in for assessment. Do we look at words? Do we look at writing? For Graham, the first thing we looked at was his central understanding of what words mean. In the beginning, he was talking in these jargon words, so they weren't making any sense. Within 2 months, he was able to name simple pictures on his own with very minimal prompts from the therapy text and the therapist. And from that point onwards, then we started to work on simple sentences and building up from there up to more complex language, him having a conversation, talking about more complex things. When he left us, he was talking in full sentences, engaging in full conversation with people in the unit, the staff, all the therapists, the therapy techs, but also people out in the shops when he was going out and about with his wife, his family, especially his grandkids. That was the main feature for him. He really wanted to be able to talk to his grandkids so they understood what he was saying. A result like Graham makes me really feel value in my job. You know, I love seeing people achieve their potential and achieve more than we ever anticipate they could. The intensity of the input we can offer here really accelerates people's recovery, and that key period within the first year of injury is the best time to get that intensive input.
I didn't know I was going to the Laurels, and some people said, oh, you've got to go to hospital, and I said, well, where am I going? And then the name come up, the Laurels. The nurses was brilliant. I can't take nothing away from them. It was. Sue, who was the boss, who is the boss even, I've always got on well with her, and I've always spoke nicely to her, and she's always spoke nicely back to me, which is a big thing when you're not very well. You think to yourself, well, if it hadn't been for Emma, then I wouldn't have been here talking, because it was her that brought the talking back to me in one sense. Oh, that was where I met Jacob, and he was damn good. In fact, if I hadn't met him, I don't think I would be here now. The body's got better, because you see, I couldn't walk at one stage. I was in a wheelchair, and I more or less gave it up as a bad job. And they said, no, you can't do that. You've got to keep trying. When I got rid of the wheelchair in the end, they said, well, you are going to have to sell it now or get rid of it. And I said, but what happens if I might need it? He says, you will not need it. You'll be okay, Graham. Well, I says, I would like to have that couple of days off to go with Maureen to the garage and do a couple of things at home. And Sue said, that's okay, so long as you come back. And that's how it's been ever since. Like, I've been fitting myself in, but then nearly every week I've found an excuse to go back to Lincoln because I like it so much. And I'm ever so grateful to them all because, well, if it hadn't been for them, I don't know where I would be. I don't think I'll be out here yet.
Well, your head's just all over the place. You just don't know what to think because, I mean, you know, you're hoping that you're going to get, well, at least 95% recovery. But when the doctors come and say, don't build up hopes, there may not be much chance, you know, you just don't know what to think. We were unsure about this rehabilitation. We thought it would be better that he came home and we would try and do it ourselves. But as I say, we probably wouldn't have got the results that we've got today. There is times when he sort of tends to forget things, but I mean, apart from that, yes, I do feel we've got him back. I would recommend the Laurels to anybody who's in this situation because they really are a great team. And they've really, well, you know, you've only got to look at him to see how they brought him on.